Hey, what's up guys, Mashine here, come back with a brand new video. If you guys, today we're going to be talking about the best cheap investments to make. Now this is going to be, we're kind of going to hop all over for today. We're going to start off with some cases, and then we're going to be heading into some more collection based investments, talking a little bit about Riptide and the previous operations, how those skins are looking and all that. But before we hop on into it, if you guys are looking to pick up any investments or CSGO skins or whatever, I've got a couple links down below that'll give you a pretty decent discount if you guys are looking to pay with cash. But let's hop on into it. First up here, we're going to be hopping on into the Spectrum 2 case. Now, the Spectrum 2 case is personally one I'm invested pretty heavily into. I invested a lot into this when it was in the non-prime drop pool a fair bit of time ago at this point. Now, the reason the Spectrum 2 case has dropped so low is because its rare special item is that Butterfly Sapphire, Butterfly Ruby, which obviously we got new finishes in the Riptide case, and the Spectrum case kind of crashed at that time. You can see just how significantly with the graph on screen, and just about a week or two ago at this point, it was sitting at almost half of its value it was before everything came out for Riptide. So it's definitely seen a fair bit of struggle at this point, but we've started the road to recovery here, and honestly, it's starting to look really good in my opinion. I still think this case has a ton of potential. The only covert that's lacking is it's got that P250 seal later, which is definitely not the highest covert in my opinion. It's definitely one of the cheaper ones, but that rare special item is going to outweigh all of that significantly. You can pull a $10,000 knife, or however much the Sapphire and Ruby are going for at these days. I'm not really too sure, but from a 25, 27, 30-cent case, it seems really reasonable, especially when you're buying the key no matter what case you open. A case at only 27 cents here is a really easy way, in my opinion, to grab some quick profit. We could definitely see this case run up pretty quickly. Now, there is 200,000 on the market, but I expect that number to start to quickly dwindle, as I think this is one of the more popular cases to open come around the holidays. Now, for this one, I would definitely try and stay away from that original Spectrum case, even though it might seem a little bit more tempting. In my opinion, you're probably going to be getting better returns here with the Spectrum 2, considering it's only at 27, 30-ish cents at this point. It's going to be a lot easier for that price to double rather than the Spectrum case going from like 65 cents to $1.30. Next up here then, I want to talk about both of the Gamma cases. Now, the Gamma cases I'm kind of going to lump together. To be honest, the skins in my opinion are comparable. You're going to say the Gamma 2 case definitely has some of the better skins, but that is your opinion at that point. I think they both are pretty mid to below average on their coverts and pinks here. The Gamma case is the one I would suggest investing into if you're going to buy one of the two, just because it is slightly cheaper. You're going to be able to get more bang for your buck. You're going to get about 6 Gamma cases for the every 5 Gamma 2 cases you're going to get. So I definitely think it's going to be a little bit more profitable in the long run, because I could honestly see these cases ending up at very similar price points down the line. That's the thing here, is when you're investing into the Gamma case, you're going to be investing into it for the knives. You're going to be looking for those emerald finishes, and that's going to be gotten from both Gamma 1 and Gamma 2. Therefore, I don't think it's going to be playing that big of a difference whether you go into the 1 or 2 case. Now, the big thing here is, in my opinion, it's very unlikely, but you do need to watch out for a potential Gamma 3 case. I do think that's extremely unlikely, but that would place a really big damper on your investments at this point. If we see a Gamma 3 case that's got some pretty nice skins, and it's got those rare special items coming back into the active drop pool, that could really harm your investments at this point. But like I've stated a couple times, I find that extremely unlikely at this point. Overall though, for the Gamma cases here, you're definitely going to be investing into them for the knives potential rather than the skins potential here. We're going to talk about the next case that has a lot of skin potential but has not as much knife potential. Here it's the opposite. You're looking for the knives here, and since the knives are found in both 1 and 2, I think you're going to be pretty decent either way. Finally then, to wrap up our cases for today, we've got the Operation Wildfire case. Now this one's a little bit out there, and I will definitely elaborate on it here. You're not going to be investing into this one for the knife. Like I've stated, the Bowie knife is not expensive, it's not desirable, it's not really what anyone wants. However, it does have that fuel injector, which is starting to drive the price point. The fact that there's not that many of these out there's only 37,000 on the market at this point, I think is definitely working in its favor significantly. You're not looking at the price points and seeing 20,000 of them at 15 cents and then another 20,000 at 16 cents. Here you're seeing like 500, 700 at each price point. Overall though, for the Wildfire case here, you're definitely going to be looking at that fuel injector. I mean, look at those price points. It's very hard to not buy into this case for the fuel injector, and that's where all the price is coming from for this case. Although I'm not going to explicitly put it on the list because it has been a pretty stagnant case over time, the Shadow case is also going to fall into a bit of what I said about the Wildfire case here. The problem with the Shadow case is that the knives are so extremely undesirable. They are more desirable than like the Navaja knife. That's about it. Everyone else agrees that the Shadow daggers are one of the worst knives in the game, and therefore it makes it really hard for me to put this on the list, but it definitely has some very expensive coverts. Heading on into our Broken Fang collections here, first up we've got the Ancient collection, and honestly this advice is going to follow for all three. In my opinion, although you're investing into these, you're investing into them mostly to dump them at a later date. Now that seems obvious, but with most investments, I honestly think you should keep them for as long as possible. With the Broken Fang collections, I don't think that's going to be the exact way, unless you're looking to wait years upon years, which you definitely could if you wanted to with these skins. I mean, there's only a certain amount. They're definitely going to keep going down as trade ups go, but I think you're mainly going to be looking to dump these off at a later date, and soon as the price point starts going up really quickly like we saw with last June, you should definitely be dumping these off in my opinion. On screen right now is one of the gray skins that is able to be bought from the Ancient collection, and although it's sitting at the lowest price point possible on the graph so far, I think there definitely is potential for it to shoot back up again, and especially with the Riptide, which we're going to talk about in just a minute. But here I think your investment potential is really going to be lying in the flipping of these skins rather than the holding out for a super long time. If you're going to hold out for years upon years, I would definitely suggest you some cases over these, because I don't think there's a ton of demand to trade up for these at this point. And like I have also stated, this goes for all three of the collections, the Control, the Havoc, and the Ancient in my opinion. They all are desirable to a certain extent, but we've received a lot better skins, and in my opinion, these skins are going to become more unique and less mainstream in the future, and I don't think that you're going to be getting the best ROI or return on investment investing into these Ancient, Control, and probably the Havoc as well. Now when we come on over to the Riptide collections, it's actually a little bit more complex because it's not always as cut clear as the Broken Fang collections here. Now for the Riptide collections, in my opinion, the most profit is going to be coming after the operation ends and you're looking to flip these items. I think this is going to be the best potential chance you have at getting some easy profit. You're just going to be selling these soon after. Flash that graph up from before. You can see that price point that was triggered was at the end of the operation there when everything was starting to go a little bit crazy, and that could definitely be happening again here. Overall though, for these collections, and we're talking about the Riptide collection specifically, I think there's just going to be the problem of there's so many skins out, and the only ones in my opinion that are really going to be traded up are the Battle Scarred and the Factory New. The middle ones are kind of going to get washed. The Battle Scarred is very interesting because we're specifically talking about the Mirage collection here. We do have that black scope op Desert Hydra, and I think that's definitely going to be really interesting to see if the Battle Scarred skins start topping the market in price point, because there's definitely a lot of demand for that black scope op. However, we've also got that white scope op in the Factory New form, so I definitely think either way it's definitely going to be interesting to see. However, I don't know the investment potential, and no one knows the investment potential that these skins hold because they're not even finished with the operation yet, and we don't even know how many are in supply. With all that being said though, if you guys are looking to invest into the Riptide collections, I think now is probably going to be the most optimal point. We'll probably see the prices start to slowly rise as we move forward a little bit, especially if we're going to see more investment hype like we are right now with some of the more mainstream investments such as like the breakout and glove cases. If that comes over here to the collections from Riptide, we could definitely be seeing some pretty decent price increases for especially like these gray collection skins. Overall, though, I think there definitely is a lot of great investments you can be making right now, especially for super cheap, and definitely make sure that you guys are investing sooner rather than later if there's something you're looking to invest into. But that's really all I have for today, guys. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. It was a little bit of a longer one, but we had a lot of information to cover. But I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.